Right, let me know if you can hear and see me because I'm having a lot of technical difficulties this morning. Just put something in the comments. Um, Obviously, if you can't hear me, then you're not going to do that, which is kind of stupid, but oh well. We'll just have to do our best, won't we? So today we're talking essential oils. There's a little book which I got roped into buying from a multi-level marketing company called doTERRA. doTERRA is where we get a lot of these oils from. doTERRA oils, yay. I'm going to talk a little bit about them. I'm going to talk a little bit about multi-level marketing. And it's probably not going to be the sort of thing that a lot of people is going to like. So strap yourselves in, guys, right? Now, I got this book. Me and Chris found this book that they weren't necessarily selling, but they were persuading us to buy it. Okay, you weren't able to buy it on the day, but we had a little flip through the book that the completely unbiased person recommended. Had a flip through, and it looked somewhat interesting. It was called Emotions and Essential Oils, or Essential Oils and Emotions. I'm not entirely sure what it was called, to be honest with you. I would have to look at it, but I named this episode after it. And in it is basically a lot of anecdotal information about how people feel. So why certain people get attracted to certain essential oils and the emotions and kind of things behind that. It was quite a good book. I was quite impressed. And a lot of people go and talk about, oh, I don't like anecdotal evidence for this, that, and the other. But actually, this is someone asking lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people why they like an oil or why they like a scent and what it reminds them of or they think it helps them with, all of that sort of stuff. I liked this piece of research so much that I completely ripped it off and put an entire section in the essential oils book I wrote, because I wrote an essential oils book a couple of years ago now. And I put a witch's guide to what essential oils can do to you, which was almost like a rip-off of what they've done in their book. But it was basically listing through various different essential oils and talking a little bit about what a lot of other people say they like about it. So, for example, bergamot, which is one of my favorite, relieves feelings of stress and despair, helps those who are in need of self-acceptance, and cleanses stagnant energy. So what they tended to find, that people that were attracted to the scent of bergamot, either full stop or just throughout different phases in their life, it was found that, or the person that wrote this book seems to think that a lot of the people that are attracted to that must be dealing with issues of self-acceptance, cleansing of stagnant energy. Anyways, negative ones. So people in a negative kind of self-defeating mood often get attracted to bergamot. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, the way we work with essential oils and the way we advise other people to work with essential oils isn't necessarily by flipping through books and saying, this is good for that. This equals this. Go and buy this for this reason. We tend to try to get people to work with them individually from either a medicinal persuasion, so just looking at what the actual essential oils can do medicinally, working into herbal medicines, those sorts of things, and going by more you bonding with it, like you might bond with a plant or a rock or anything, really, what you personally get from it, as opposed to looking up in the book the reference. But what was very interesting about this specific book, that it just gave loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. I've condensed a lot of it down to put in my book. And I was very interested in using the idea, the concept of essential oils for divination purposes. So obviously, when we work with clients, we want to work with them in a holistic way. So that means pulling everything together, all aspects of their lives, because every individual part affects the whole, doesn't it? Right? Which you don't tend to see that. There's a lot of people that talk about holistic approaches to things, holistic medicine, all that sort of thing. And I don't find it particularly holistic. What it generally means is go and do some yoga and talk about your feelings, and that's only a very, very, very small part, you know, of the overall. Yeah. Now, what I find quite interesting about this was it stimulated, I think, within me the concept of pushing our scratch testing methods. So when we talk about scratch testing, what that basically means is when we're helping people develop psychic ability, psychic development, that kind of thing, where you're taking someone and introducing them to herbs and rocks and just energies, various different objects, basically with some sort of an energetic charge, right? Introducing them to see what they can pick up on. Now, what was quite interesting in this book, although it didn't actually necessarily say it, what it was giving was it was giving essentially assigning for different emotional states and traumas and stuff. It was assigning an essential oil for that. What I was interested in more so was when you have someone walk through the door, we get them to pick. Like if you've seen our cabinet, you will probably notice that we've got a lot of jars and things like that. So when it comes to spellcasting and stuff, we get people to pick different things, what they're drawn to, without seeing what it's called. The jars have labels on, but they're on the bottom essentially, so no one sees what they are unless you can see in the jar and recognize what it is. Now, the interesting thing with essential oils is they all basically come in these bottles. Well, this has obviously got a label on it, but they all basically come in. Let's get some random ones. So we've got like the roller shaped ones, but basically the empty ones, they're all going to look the same inside. So when you give people a bunch of them to try, they're going to be sniffing them. They might be able to tell what lemon smells like, I know, but some of the others is a little bit more, a bit more difficult to tell what they are. What's quite interesting is when you get loads of people and ask them to pick an essential oil, mirroring it and marrying it up with what this book, the Emotions book, was suggesting was actually quite interesting, because when you get someone that's attracted, oh, I really like that smell, I don't know what it is, or I really like that smell, I do know what it is, but I just happen to like it at the moment, right? Looking up in the book what the relevance to it is, what the emotions relevance to it, it's very interesting. It's a lot like the Bach flower remedies, so in homeopathy. And it is quite interesting to see that it picks up a lot on what your, I would say, taste buds, what your scent is trying to tell you. Is your body trying to tell you something and you not fully understanding it? Now, in herbal medicine, people go into this in quite a lot of detail with regards to dosages and how long you take medicines for and the general formulation for medicines. So generally speaking, when it comes to building and making herbal remedies and formulas, I don't tend to just choose a standard recipe for everyone. What I tend to do is try to invite people to get in on the action and help make the remedies. Not only does this cover us from a legal perspective, which we can go into that on another episode, but it also means that people understand how to make it. This cream that they're rubbing in, or this ointment or salve, like what is in it? I know I'm rubbing it on my skin, but what is it? How is it even made? People are used to picking stuff up from a pharmacy or the shops, and then it's just like something that's come from a laboratory. It's all a scary, weird process. I think that getting people involved in the process is quite fascinating for them. It gets them to put a little bit more confidence in what they're doing, and it allows them to pick what goes in it. When it comes to essential oils and aromatherapy and making rollers and stuff like that, like we've got a couple of standard off-the-shelf remedies, right? We've got an On Guard one, which is a doTERRA one, which I can't say that I really recommend. It's a protective blend, so it's for when you feel a little bit down, not very well, that kind of thing. Putting it in your well, I think they did try to sell some hand sanitizer gel. I'm not too sure how well that went out with all the COVID stuff. They might have got in trouble for that. I know it's sold out. Digestive remedy, if you've got a bit of irritable bowel syndrome or acid reflux or something like that, they normally get you to do those kind of things. You can buy these off the shelf. It's mixed, lots of oils. I don't like that. I don't like that. I prefer people to choose what goes in. Now, you can assist if you're trying to make something medicinal by saying, well, for your type of ailment or for your problem, here's a selection of oils or herbs or whatever. I will do that. I will put them on the table. I'm not going to start putting poisons there and say, well, you picked the henbane, that's your fucking fault. You know, that's probably not such a good idea. But I like people to be able to use that palette. Now, within herbal medicine, there's an idea that, and a lot of herbalists will take this approach, but they will make a formula for a specific person. Now, the herbalist normally decides that. You won't find all that many herbalists that sit down with the client and get them to pick the things that go in it. Normally, what they say is they go by the energetics, what type of person that they are. You know, there's lots of ways of doing that. In Ayurveda, you have like pittas, you have various different systems that you can use for reading a person. Within the herbal medicine route, also, you have the idea of, well, actually, you need to make medicine or you need to treat someone the way that they want to be treated. So you don't just give them tablets, for example, like capsules and things like that. You wouldn't necessarily, or you try to avoid giving them a nasty tasting tincture or something. You'd make it so that the medicine actually is good. Now, it was quite fascinating if you've ever seen a course of treatments, or have had a course of treatments from a herbalist or an aromatherapist or anything like that. It's very interesting that when you build these formulas with the people, their body craves it. All of a sudden, they're liking a specific smell or they're liking a specific taste. And then what happens is, over time, normally the natural course of a treatment, the body doesn't reject it, but the body thinks, I'm sick of this, I don't really like this. You'd be surprised with how many times you create a formula, that person starts using the formula, and as they get better, they like the formula or the taste or the medicine less and less and less. And it could be to the extent of, as you weighing it down, so as you drop the dose down over time, say it was something like a tea or something like that, they might say, I'm kind of a little bit sick of this tea. I don't mind having 1 cup a day, but I don't think I can manage 3 cups a day. And actually, when you look at dosages for things like that, they're craving it at the start off. They really like the tea and they're willing to have 3 cups a day. And then all of a sudden, as the dosage is supposed to be less and less and less, the body almost tells the person, I'm kind of getting used to this now. I'm not really liking this anymore. I see that also mirrored in aromatherapy, when people can be drawn to a specific scent, essential oil, for a set purpose, set amount of time, but they're just not necessarily aware of that purpose. Now, this is the first kind of written form that I found quite an interesting thing to explore, which is this emotional thing. Because we all go through different emotional states if you aren't a sociopath and have emotions and stuff. And what is reflected in that? How can you help that? Now, from a holistic perspective, you're not, and I'm sorry if you disagree with this, you're not going to start giving people homeopathic remedies, herbal supplements, essential oils and that, and expect that to fix the problem. A lot of what I see, particularly on social media, but also in a lot of books and things, is, oh well, you're depressed. You're depressed. That's fine. You just need to diffuse a little bit of this essential oil, or you just need to get a little bit of this homeopathic remedy. That's not good. That's not a holistic approach. What you need to be doing is thinking about, well, what's causing this? Where has all of this started? What is the ins and outs of this? In standard Western medicine, sort of mainstream medicine, we have this idea of, well, we just prescribe a pill and the pill makes everything better. And unfortunately, this is not true necessarily for actual physical issues. It's also not true for psychological issues a lot of the time. And what you're seeing as time goes on is that, well, you know, we can make really great things that help the body repair itself. You know, we can make penicillin and stuff like that, miracle, amazing drugs that we use, and we'll just start using them and using them and using them and abusing them, and that's fine. Whenever someone comes in with an issue, they've got a little rash or something like that because they're not being hygienic, I'll just give you some cream to rub and it's fine. We don't need to address the root problem, the fact that, you know, you're not washing because you're depressed. we won't address that. We'll just blaze over that. We'll just prescribe you a cream to rub in. Same is true in psychology a lot of the time. We're seeing more and more and more. You're depressed, or you're not feeling very well. I will just prescribe you something. And what I really don't like, and what I'm really worried about actually, is when magical practitioners take this approach, and when herbalists, people that should know better, people that claim to take a holistic approach to things, also adopt this approach, that this oil for this condition. That is not a holistic approach. This book, Emotions, the inner workings of the mind, the emotional state, people get stuck with emotions. Emotions fill you up, until they leak and ooze out of you. It can be happy emotions, joy, it can be bad emotions, sadness, pain, all of that sort of stuff. You leak them, you struggle to cope with emotions. And a lot of the time, bad issues in life will affect emotions. And emotions can end up having a bad result on your body. If you're constantly in a foul, nasty state in your mind, your body is going to start to deteriorate. Maybe the emotional thing, the psychological thing came first, but it will affect the body physically eventually. Same with if you have a problem with your body, a physical problem, that will start to affect your emotional state, your psychology, your psyche, your personality, all of that stuff. It will start to affect it. And we need to think a little bit about this when we start to delve into things like essential oils, but also herbal medicine and witchcraft and magic, if we're working on another person and ourselves to create a change, to affect a change. Now, I want to go right back now to what I was kind of talking a little bit about earlier, which was the whole scratch testing, because we don't scratch test, check psychic development levels in clients unless they're people that we're taking on to train within magic. I don't just expect every Tom, Dick, or Sheila to undergo some scratch testing if they've just come in because they can't sleep or something, right? That's not necessarily what we're doing. You've got your magical people that are coming to you for you to help them progress in magic. And then you've got your mundane clients that just want you to make the problem go away. Okay. Now, one of the interesting ones is that because essential oils don't take up a huge amount of space, you can actually whip a couple of them, in a bag or in a little carry case or something like that. We've always got something along the lines of something like this with a lot of essential oils in. You might not be able to see that. I've kind of broken it. Little drawer units and stuff with them that goes in the old cunning folk cabinet. With things like that, you can literally say, interesting, tell me what's wrong. Well, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. I've put a little bit of weight on. I'm not feeling right. I'm starting to look at my kids like I want to kill them. My work's starting to decline. I'm not getting enough sleep. Blah 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 blah. All of these things, people will start splurting out. They splurge, right? As soon as they trust you, anyway. Normally, they've only got to trust you a little bit. Just when they've said one thing, a load of other stuff comes out. So just because someone said, I'm feeling a little bit of overweight and my work's starting to show and the boss isn't very happy, you just have to put a little bit of a nudge and then all of it comes out. Oh yeah, I've not been happy since my husband died. He left me with this kid and I love the kid, but if all honestly, most days I want to kill the kid. That kind of thing all comes out. And root causes for things, I've experimented a couple of times. You could say clinically, but witchcraft clinically, not in a laboratory or anything like that, by getting people to just note down. I've noted down and paid attention to essential oils and scents and herbs and things that people are attracted to with certain things, and comparing it back to this Emotions of Essential Oils book is near enough very close. A lot of the time it's very, very close, scarily close, to the point where sometimes what I say is, hello, why don't you try one of these essential oils, smell it, and then you guess from what they've said they're drawn to. So if you think, have a little smell of some of these essential oils and tell me the one or ones you like, if they're starting to get drawn to certain scents, and you might pick something up and look in this emotional oils book and say, well, black pepper, you've been attracted to this black pepper, and that is, you know, a mask to do with the hidden self. Are you hiding behind a mask? Are you projecting something that you aren't necessarily actually on the inside? Are you one to delve deep into oneself, into yourself, but not share that with other people? Hide that behind a mask. Oh yes, yes, I am. What other essentials were you drawn to? Oh, you was drawn to this one. When you've got a couple of them that they were drawn to, and they all kind of saying the same thing, or roughly the same thing. That's kind of a form of diagnosis to a certain extent, which is really quite interesting. When people are aware of this, people get extremely scared at the consultation table because, like Chris has a habit, I personally think that you can take it a little bit too far. I don't think Chris quite takes it too far, but you can. And that is when people start making charm bags and making spells and putting herbs and things like that, you'll start to comment. You'll say, oh, well, you're going through this, or you're going through that, or that charm bag's supposed to do this. And I think, yeah, I think you're not supposed to say things like that. You're not supposed to, it's kind of like the equivalent of a kid going, mummy, why is that man over there so fat? Blurting it out loud. Sometimes I think, not always the best approach to take, and that's coming from me. But yeah, you can do that. It's very interesting to do the things that people are drawn to. But anyway, we have a whole list of these essential oils that are in it. Emotions, what they're drawn to. You can do a lot of research with regards to essential oils that people are and remedies and things like that. There's a big history of people being drawn to specific plants, specific herbs when they have conditions. Animals also do this. Is one of the things where over the centuries a lot of herbal medicine, folk medicine, has really come about via observation. Or why is that animal rubbing itself against that specific hedgerow? What's going on there? Oh, look, it seems to be really good with this condition. We'll start doing the same. Oh, look, it's helping. Things kind of evolve from that. And the one thing I'd really like to push is experimentation with this. You can experiment yourselves. And you can experiment on others. And this is a very, very safe way of doing that because you're just smelling stuff. We're not talking about putting stuff on your skin and stuff like that yet. Obviously, that's a big part of aromatherapy, and using essential oils as medicines and stuff like that is quite good. But similar with herbs and choosing herbs and minerals and stones, that people gravitate or are said to gravitate towards them for a purpose. Using this as a form of divination is possible. It is possible to read people based on the sense they like. Okay. Much like it's possible to read imbalances on the things that they're drawn to and not drawn to. We often use planets for that, planetary correspondences and stuff like that. Name a bunch of people and assign them a planet. So a type of person or a profession or anything like that. Well, the prisoner, that's got to be the prisoner. The prisoner's got to be the sun, and the prison guard, that's got to be Mars. I mean, what does that tell you about a person if they're saying the prison guard is Mars and the prisoner is the sun, the solar self? Someone's got some issues, right? Imbalance there. But anyway, is there any specific questions? Because you can obviously jump in if you've got some questions. I did actually just compile a list because I've been quite interested in what essential oils and things we actually currently have and use. Because the three essential oils that we use the most of and get through the most happen to be lavender, peppermint, and tea tree. And you'll find with a lot of basic remedies, if you wanted to go out and invest money on essential oils, three of the essential oils that you probably get a lot of use out of would be lavender, tea tree, and peppermint. And a lot of formulas for those things. Chris has talked a little bit before about formulations, magical formulations. We talk about 4 Thieves vinegar and stuff like that. Are you just adding one ingredient in to do something? So someone's got what is it, the one that he always likes to use? Athlete's foot, that's it, athlete's foot, right? So you've got itchiness, you've also got the fact that you've got a fungal infection, a problem, and you've got the fact that it is a skin condition. So one of these ones that you could whip up would be a roller or a salve or something like that with a lavender peppermint and melaleuca, tea tree basically. Because what you want to do is you want a team, okay? When you're building formulas and stuff, you're wanting a team for what each team member contributes towards the whole. What you want to do is you want to stop the bloody itching. Peppermint, that's good for stopping the itching, but you need to start helping, kill off the infection, that kind of stuff, the nastiness. Tea tree's good for that. Next level above tea tree, you might experience that cloves actually a lot stronger. So sometimes if it's a really bad case, I will substitute tea tree for clove. I think I've got some clove. There's some clove here somewhere, I know that. Well, there's no point. There's clove, but you can't smell it, so what's the point? I keep thinking you're actually here in the room with me. So yeah, with things like that, obviously lavender skin condition, you want to heal the skin. So what you want to do is you want to go through killing baddie stuff in the skin, stopping the itchy stuff, and then repairing the skin. So what you're doing there is you've got a combination now. The formulation process is coming about, If you're making something, then you're going to have a carrier oil, right? You're going to have some essential oils, and often you'll probably put a little bit of vitamin E in it, because vitamin E is one of those things that stops the oil from going rancid. So not only is vitamin E good for the skin in general, you've now all of a sudden got your 3 essential oils plus vitamin E plus a carrier oil. That's 5 things coming together to make a formula, to make a remedy. And then you just choose your application. I've made rollers, right? Little roller things that you put on. You could make a cream or a salve or anything like that for that kind of a condition, but it works quite well, And if you're saying, well, that's very good, Liam, I'll go out and rush out and buy those. Those would work quite well. But what then happens if I sat a client down and instead of saying I've got the perfect formula right there and now, you might think, well, I know I want to make a roller. Why don't you choose the carrier oil? I know I've got to put something that's going to help kill the bacteria. Why don't you sniff some tea tree? Where's the tea tree? Sniff some tea tree and sniff some clove, and you tell me which one you want to put in, right? I quite like the clove. Do I like tea tree? Ooh, that's strong. I don't know, Liam. You do it. You're the herbalist. You're the witch. You tell me which one to do. No, you pick one and you tell me kind of what you're thinking. Sniff it again. Well, that smells a bit like medicine, but that one smells really, really nice. I'm thinking I might go for the medicine smell because I'm thinking that actually this is a medicine, and I kind of like the idea that it feels stronger. I'm going for the tea tree, please. Or no, that smells kind of icky, like it's going to a hospital. I think I'll go with the clove. I mean, technically any of them will work, but the client preference, you'd be surprised how much that factors into a lot of this stuff. Is actually quite interesting. I completely lost my threads now. Anyway, I was inventorying our essential oils, and we do have quite a lot of lavender, peppermint, and tea tree. We get through those, I think, more than most of them. So if you want my actual list of essential oils that we at Thoth Witchcraft actually go out and buy, right, and actually use, it's quite interesting. There's 24 of them. I'll run through the list and then I'll tell you why you shouldn't buy them. So we have in our official Thoth Witchcraft cabinet currently bergamot, cedarwood, cinnamon, clove, Douglas fir, eucalyptus. I bought that one specifically for a specific reason, actually. Frankincense, that's bloody expensive. Helichrysum, I can't never say that one properly. Juniper berry, lavender, lemon, lemongrass, which is different, lime, marjoram, myrrh, expensive again. Oregano, peppermint, Roman chamomile, rosemary, of course we've got to have rosemary, haven't we? Sandalwood, spearmint, tea tree, thyme, and turmeric. Now, essential oils are wonderful things and they are very potent and strong. Yes, you do need to understand what you're doing and do a little bit of training when it comes to the safety of all of these things. Don't just start mixing things up and slapping it on your skin or ingesting it or anything like that. We will probably put together some sort of a mini course or talk or something specifically on aromatherapy and essential oils, because a lot of people are interested in it. But I did write a book called Essential Oils 101 that kind of takes you through. It was basically our curriculum. It was designed to be a curriculum for a course we were teaching, but I thought, well, at the end of the day, we might as well just publish that in the form of like a book, because it makes sense, right? If you're going to compile all of this, why are you just giving it to the people that are going on the course? You might as well just make it available to everyone. So the Essential Oils 101 book I created, and that goes through kind of the science practice of that. We're also including it in the next book that me and my Lady Poison are writing, which is herbal. A traditional witch's herbal is the working title of that. But essential oils are coming under a lot of fire because it takes a considerable amount of actual plant in order to distill it and then make the essential oils. When you look at a lot of folk magical remedies and medicinal remedies and a lot of herbal medicine, we normally try to be quite conscious of depleting the land, destroying natural resources, over harvesting, all of that sort of thing. When it comes to the use of essential oils take up so much plant matter to actually make essential oils. That actually the carbon footprint of it, not necessarily very good. The idea of that you are just using so much and cramming it in to get such a tiny little amount of oil out of it, it's kind of like not really that great. I'm not opposed to using essential oils, but I think that if it comes to I'm going to buy an essential oil or I'm going to use and make a decoction of the plant that's down the road and make a infused oil or something like that, do I get the comfrey infused oil and make that, or do I just go and buy some essential oils? I would say that you would be better off going and infusing an oil yourself or making a tincture or something like that takes less time. Not less time, it uses up less plant stuff, particularly when it comes to over harvesting and when you're basically buying loads of essential oils and it's going on a plane and getting delivered to you. It's just not cost effective necessarily. You're going to understand the plant and the things that you're dealing with a lot less. I do find that people that go through the whole long process at least once of actually, why don't you work with lavender and not just buy lavender essential oil? You can get lavender and grow it really easily, at least in the UK. Use actual lavender first, and then if you want to go and invest in an essential oil to kind of top it up, maybe you can do that, but I mean that's a lot of the things that the essential oil companies absolutely despise, which is the last thing I think I want to talk about, which is multi-level marketing companies, MLMs, and essential oils. There's two really, really big ones. One is doTERRA and one is Young Living, and I don't want to get sued. So we're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about a generic multi-level marketing company that doesn't actually exist. Okay. What should we call this multi-level marketing? We'll call it super essential oils. So these companies, super essential oils, obviously, they get sued left, right, and center anyway. But what we need to do if we are running this company is we need to be very, very, very careful. So what we need to do first and foremost is sell as many essentials as possible. Okay. And when you want to do that really quickly, we could open up a shop, but let's be fair, we're probably not going to sell a huge amount of essentials. We'll sell a few, but we're not going to make billions out of that. What we need to do is we need to recruit people that are going to work for free to sell our oils for us, and we're going to make sure that they sell, but also we're going to make sure they also buy. How can we do that? I know what we'll do. We'll target a specific demographic that's going to fall for all of this wellness crap. What demographic will fall for this wellness crap? I know. Normally, it's single mums that want to earn a little bit of extra money because they can't necessarily get a job because of childcare and stuff like that, but they want to do something that's really natural, and they want to do something that's really helpful and good and makes them feel good and is healthy for their kids and family. Yeah. So our super essential oil as a multi-level marketing company could open a shop, but realistically what we needed to do is we needed to convince a bunch of, I don't know, people on Mumsnet that if you come to one of our seminars or buy our little course or box of essential oils, you are going to be wealthy. You're going to make loads of money, because all you need to do is you need to sell the essential oils and we'll pay you to do it, right? We'll give you a little bit of money. Obviously, we're not going to give you the essential oils for free. Just buy a little box, an intro box, and we'll give you a pamphlet and some training, which is basically amounts to a pamphlet, little booklet, normally in PDF format, because I mean, printing, we're trying to save the planet, right? I know we're destroying entire forests to make essential oils, but we're trying to save the planet. It's not got anything to do with the fact that if we give you a PDF document and a video, that saves us a lot of money also, because we haven't got to pay the printing costs, but we are trying to save the planet. So instead, what we'll do, you come to us, you buy this little overpriced box. It's a very box, but it's overpriced, with some essential oils in it. Watch our video, speak to a number of other people that are in a Facebook group or some such stuff that have already fallen for all of this, and are trying to make a business out of this. And then what you need to do is you don't have to buy any more. You just buy that one box, little sample box. And then all you do is direct them to a website, right, where they buy it. And then it just links to, we'll give you a number, like a customer ID, sign of the devil. And whenever someone purchases it, we'll just give you a percentage of that money. It's brilliant. And really, if you want to make lots of money, you don't want to be one of those people, right? I was in that position, right? Yeah, you can go and sell a couple to your friends and family and go to some craft fairs and stuff like that. What you need to do is you need to do what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm getting other people to find other people to find other people to sell the oils. Because if I'm selling the oils, I can only sell so many oils, right? But if I find 5 people to sell oils, I'll get money from them. Because if I've got people that are selling oils from me, they get the money from that, but I also get a little bit. And then what I'll get them to do is get them to sell some oils. To the extent that what we need is we just need everyone to sell oils. And then just think of the amount of money you can make. It'll be absolutely fucking fantastic. You'll be this time next year, you'll be a millionaire, right? Just go and do that. Multi-level marketing companies. And I tell you what, I know that this is all very sciencey and stuff like that, but all you need to know is wellness is natural, so it's good. Okay, and please don't tell everyone that it's going to cure their cancer and stuff like that. If you do, make sure you don't put our company name in it. Just this anecdotal evidence. It's your testimony, right? If you know someone that had cancer, right, and they've gone through the whole chemotherapy thing, and you gave them some essential oils as a little present, and they're not dead, we'll just say that the essential oils helped them. Okay, we'll do that, right? So then you can go and do that, and write it on Facebook or social media or whatever, stuff like that. Don't necessarily say it cured their cancer, but just kind of in a kind of nonchalant way, kind of say that it helped, right? And it'll be super easy. Now, there's a couple of books that you need to buy. Don't worry, they're not our books. We don't make any money from them, or I don't make any money from them, of course. But they are owned and written by someone that is on our board of directors, and they are linked to us. You see, what we have to do is, because the FDA and that, they don't like us making medicinal claims for our oils and stuff like that. So if you're going to be in on this scam, I mean this this business opportunity, what you need to do is we need to be very, very careful. You can't say the essential oils are a cure for this. We can't publish information that says we super MLM essential oils company say and can be quoted as saying this, blah, 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 blah. So what we've done is, because we can't say that, we've written a couple of books, okay, and we've published them without our branding on. They're published through a subsidiary company that is kind of linked back to us, but at the same time isn't. I mean, if you follow the money, obviously it goes back to the same people that own our company, but they're not legally the same company. I mean, this is an Aroma Tool Schmaltz book. This isn't a super essential oil company book. Although, if you do open it and look at all of the pictures, it does look like they're always using our oils. It's just that you can never quite see the brand name because it's photographed. It looks like our bottles. It's got exactly the same formulation. It's got exactly the same names, like Stay on Guard Protective Blend, and it says Stay on Guard Protective Blend in the book, and it looks the same, but that little logo turns slightly to the right when they took the photo. So I can't be legally sure as to whether it is our essential oil, or at least in a court of law it wouldn't stand up that it was our essential oil, because in the book we haven't told you to buy it and told them to buy it. Anyway, scam over. Okay. Multi-level marketing companies is one of those things that you've got to be a bit wary of when it comes to essential oils and when it comes to herbal medicine and anything like that. I thought about setting up a multi-level marketing company because you can make a hell of a lot of money from them. And I don't mean from them by joining one. I mean from starting one up, obviously. Essential oils have been pushed and marketed by essential oil companies, like the big ones, big multi-level marketing companies, and they've spread a considerable amount of awareness, don't get me wrong, but they've also done a considerable amount of damage to the actual practice of using them in herbal medicine and aromatherapy. We buy certain essential oils from a multi-level marketing company just because we've tested, and don't get me started on the whole third-party tested crap. I'll say that in a minute because I might as well. But we've bought some that do stand up to the quality. So our frankincense oil comes from a certain supplier because it really is the best we've found so far. And if I could find another one that was better, believe you me and Chris would swap, but we can't find one. But that isn't true for all of the essential oils. A little bit of lavender, you don't necessarily need to get that lavender from the same essential oil supplier. There may be one or two providers of certain oils, herbal stuff and that kind of thing that really has a great crop. The one that we use does have a great crop of frankincense. I'll give them that, and we do buy it. But don't necessarily fall into thinking that by joining an MLM and listening to all their spout and nonsense that you're going to be a millionaire by the end of next year or make any money whatsoever. There are many a documentary that you can look up when it comes to that, and there's a considerable amount of fraud in essential oils and aromatherapy, like a ridiculous amount. The last thing I'd like to talk about when selecting essential oils, because we've talked about the whole emotional thing, I just wanted you to get the gist and idea of actually experimenting with the kind of emotions as opposed to the application for medicinal problems. Think about the psyche, emotion, psychology, things we go through. You know, not necessarily, oh, this makes my skin better, it makes my wrinkles go. Don't think about that. Think about actually moods and stuff like that. The last thing I want to talk about is the concept and idea of third-party testing and specific therapeutic grades of essential oils. Now, there's a considerable amount of fraud in aromatherapy, and it's not just the MLMs that are up to it. People that sell essential oils, what they often do is we'll water them down, okay, to save money. So when you get a little bit of rose essential oil and it costs £6, which is the same price as every other essential oil in the shop, you know something's up. something's fishy, something's dodgy. Some people make fake essential oils because you can get away with calling something essential oil. It doesn't need to necessarily be an essential oil for you to brand it lavender oil or lavender essential oil. You can take proper lavender essential oil and water it down in a carrier oil and fill one of these up with it when there might be, like, say, 2 drops in it. They can get away with that. Also, people will and have got away with not even putting real lavender in it, just making a fake laboratory synthetic smelling oil and calling it an essential oil. Just because it's got essential oil and it doesn't mean anything. A lot of multi-level marketing companies are switched on to this and will also say, we know this from us. Our oils are third party tested. We've made up this thing called therapeutic grade essential oil, or this thing called such and such grade essential oil, blah, 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 which ain't a real thing, by the way. It's just something that our companies decided to call it. Hence why you find certain companies push the therapeutic grade essential oil, some companies push other ones because they made up the concept of a therapeutic grade essential oil, right? With that kind of thing, what they'll do is they'll say, well, wait a minute, we know that there's a lot of fraud. We know a lot of people are catching on to the fact that there's fraud. All we'll do is we'll pay a bunch of people in a lab to say, this tea tree oil, can you test to see if it's got any tea tree in it, please? Yeah, okay. The lab results have come back that this tea tree oil has traces of tea tree in it. It's got some tea tree in it. We'll slap a label on it called therapeutic grade essential oil. All therapeutic grade essential oils and all of those grade essential oils means is that they have paid someone and they say it's third party tested. I mean, there's fraud going on there, I would imagine, with certain companies, because they probably are paying an independent scientist, paying an independent scientist. They are paying an independent scientist in a lab somewhere to test the oil and say it's got tea tree in it or it's got whatever oil in it. Ultimately, I mean, what up with that? All it means is they can make it sound like what is in it is in it, and it is probably in it, because if you get some tea tree, it probably has got tea tree in it. Yes, there are some dodgy people that won't even put any tea tree in it, and the lab results should test that. But just because something comes back as getting a third party test to say it is what is in it doesn't necessarily mean it's of great quality, nor does it mean that you should pay a considerable amount extra for that. And there are a couple of essential oils companies out there that sell a lot of herbs and stuff like that that are not multi-level marketing companies, and that they are very good. Mountain Rose Herbs is a very good source. You know, Tisserand, I believe, in the UK is a fairly reputable source for quality. I don't know about prices because I haven't ordered from them, so I don't know about the pricing and stuff like that. But ultimately, do your research when you're doing and using essential oils. I don't think that you should necessarily use essential oils if you can use the plant in other ways. So if you can make a tea and use up a little bit of a plant rather than an entire field of a plant, I would suggest using a little bit of the plant to make a tea than going and buying the equivalent of a half a acre of lavender in the form of a bottle, right? Because that isn't good for the environment. It's going to be expensive. And I would go for that. So there doesn't seem to be any more questions. And despite my screen being black, I have been assured that people hear and see me. So hopefully I haven't just been talking to myself for a while, but it's always possible. If people are interested in talking about essential oils, herbal medicine, or anything like that, please feel free to ask questions in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Okay, Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Okay, there are a lot of people that understand quite a lot about magic, but also medicinal applications of herbs and remedies and that kind of thing. So if you've got any good questions, then please put them in there. I'll do my best to answer a couple every now and then. And if this is a subject that people are really interested in, then I'll put like a proper, we'll put some guides or maybe a video or something like that about essential oils on for people. Just because I think that there's quite a lot of, you know, misinformation about essential oils out there, and I don't want people to start messing with things that are going to cause problems. What do you think of the notion of using oil even if you know it doesn't have much of the oil if you have a relationship with the ingredients? Okay, so let me get rid of that little banner. Herbal medicine, magic, Bach flower remedies, aromatherapy, right? We got here magic, here actual medicine, herbal medicine, that kind of thing, very scientifically proven stuff, magical. There is kind of like a scale. Homeopathy sits slightly more to the magical side. Okay, essential oil with the aromatics and stuff like that, it kind of sits between it. When you're talking about, okay, I'm using a watered down oil, what we need to be aware of in herbal medicine is that we normally say, you know, give the lowest dose you can, but make sure it works. So you don't want to give a stronger dose of something than you need to. Okay, so I wouldn't start filling things up. That's from a safety perspective, but also from the idea of being, you know, holistic and not using and over harvesting and all that sort of thing. When it comes to things like these, this is a little roller, lavender roller. You know, it is watered down. You would use that because when you're putting it on your skin, you're watering it down anyway. Because if I put some lavender on my skin, I have done before, and my skin doesn't react to it, but a lot of people's, they do react to it. So I would say, in order to answer that question, if you're wanting to hone in on the energetic signature, you could use a completely watered down. You could take one drop, literally homeopathic style, put one drop of essential oil in a gallon of water, mix it up, and then just take a spoonful of that water out and work with that, magically speaking. You could probably do that because you're just getting the signature. If it comes to like a more medicinal action, that you want it to have a physiological effect on the body, you're going down that route, what I'd advise you to do is to understand and do a little bit of further research. I can help if you need it, with how much of a dosage I would need to make something work. Okay, so you'd be surprised with dosages and adding essential oils on, and when you do things properly versus when you don't do things properly, as to how much you can get away with or how little you can get away with of using those essential oils in things. If you're making, for example, a roller where you've just got an oil like that and you're putting it on, the actual how much essential oil you'd put in that would only be like quite a small amount, a very small amount, and then the rest of it would be a carrier oil, like jojoba oil or something like that. That's one of my favorites. They say it's not an oil, but I mean, it looks like an oil, doesn't it? They say it's a wax, but fuck them, it's an oil, all right? I'm selling it as an oil. It's a fucking oil, even if it is a wax. Fractionated coconut oil, we'll go with that for all you people out there that can argue with me. So I'd say go into understanding what the condition is, why you're using it, and if you're using it for a physiological change, you need to understand the dose, okay, and what minimum dose you can use. So is that essential oil that you've got, or that watered down oil you've got, can I add that into a salve and it actually work? If the answer is yes, then do it. From an energetic and magical perspective, it don't matter at all, as long as you can get the energetic signature from it. And that is really a case of psychic development at that point. So I could take someone that's very psychically attuned to herbal, you know, the herbal world, that kind of thing, and give them an empty, see if we got an empty one. No, that's not empty. I'm sure we had an empty one. An empty thing, right? An empty one with nothing in. And I could take the label off and I could give it to them and they might pick something up. It might smell, but let's say I don't let them smell it. They can pick something up because they're quite psychically attuned to that. Okay, they're attuned to pulling in energy. They're used to doing that. At the same time, I could give someone that isn't particularly psychic that, and they won't pick up on anything, right? However, I could take that unpsychic-y person to a field which is just full of that plant that's growing, and they will get an impression. They'll be able to connect. So when it comes to obviously utilizing it from an energetics, for spell work, psychically, magically, you need to use whatever form you can get a lock on magically to and pull that energy in, essentially. Which is going to vary from person to person. That's why I'd find it a little bit difficult to answer your question. But if I could sum up your question, notion of using an oil, even if you know it doesn't have much oil in it, if you have a relationship with the ingredients, if you can energetically sense it, work with that energy by getting the signature of that from that watered down oil, then fine. I know people that will make remedies, magical oils, and not put any of the plant in. What they'll do is they'll hold an oil like this, which is rapeseed oil. Yeah, rapeseed oil. They'll hold the oil and they'll go and think and they'll pull in the energy of lavender and they'll hold it and then they'll push it into the oil. Okay. They haven't used any lavender whatsoever. They've used their memory of the energetics of lavender to pull it in and push it into that. Okay. Not everyone can do that. With some time, with the right teaching, anyone can do that, but you're not going to necessarily start by doing that. So what they might do is some people need to, I'll put a few drops of lavender in that and now I feel the lavender. Some people might say, well, I need to go to a fucking field full of lavender. I need to start picking it up, thinking it, smelling it, crushing it in my face, eating it, and then shoveling it in here and then mixing it up and shaking it every day for a month. Some people need to go to that extent because they haven't necessarily built up their ability to sense it yet. But there we go. I think that is it for your questions. But please let me know in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group if you would like any information on essentials or any specific information on the healing path and herbal medicines and stuff like that, because we are more than willing to put some content out there, but I don't want to go to the rigmarole of making formulas and doing all of the thing about talking to them if no fucker is interested, right? Because it's a bit of a divergent from my part. Picking up a book and slagging it off like I do on these non-book reviews is one thing. Taking someone into my kitchen and show you how to make a salve is a completely other thing. I got to get off my ass to do that for a start, and I am willing to do it, but only if people actually are interested. So that's it for this book review. That is not a book review. Bye, everyone. And if you've listened up to this point, then you should be ashamed of yourself because you've got nothing better to do than look at a crappy title sequence that took me all of about 2 minutes to wake. Anyway.